All right, so what do they do? What should they do?
I mean, what do the Warriors do?
Yeah, what should they do?
They sit and wait.
888-957-9570.
You wait for the league to do what they do.
No,
and then
that doesn't. What does that matter?
Bigger picture?
What does that matter? Yeah.
Bigger picture?
What do they do?
Well, you have two choices. Either you hunker down and still talk about how they're a championship core and we feel like we can still win a championship and we got championship pedigree and all the rest of it, or you get to the deadline and you blow this thing sky high. You got Klay Thompson being benched. You got Draymond Green, who cannot stay on the court for a month in a row. And, there's Andrew Wiggins. And I think he played last night. Did he?
Not really.
Yeah. So you either double down and go all in, or you blow this thing sky high, because what you have right now is either good enough or not good enough. And if it's not good enough, then you got to end it, Mark. You got to end it.
You know the word that just kept bouncing around in my head last night, and I know that I don't want to know if I don't know if defended is the right word. I've accepted Draymond through the years. I think I've understood that it's a fool's errand to ever think that he'll be different. So all of that as the backdrop. Last night I watched the whole thing. And you and I, we're all sitting there, Grandy, Lucas, we're all texting as this is happening. And I had to watch it on a little bit of a rollback because I had to run a quick errand. And it happened while I was gone. I come back.
That was pretty funny. You're like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah, you guys are all texting. And I'm like, yeah, what happened? Where'd Draymond go?
All three of us had our own, views on it. And then you watched it. And then you're like, oh.
Okay.
You know? And I've been there with the baby. I got a 15-month-old baby. A lot of times I'm like, wait, what happened?
I had to go get some moving boxes. We're moving it a little bit.
Good for you.
Yeah, we're moving to a new place next month. So
boy.
I went on the next door and I'm like, free moving boxes. And someone had been 10 minutes. They're like, free moving boxes. I'm like, stay right where you are. I'm on my way.
Nice.
And so I got a bunch of moving boxes and I came back and Draymond had moved from the court
to 4
to the locker room. And I'm like, what happened? And I watched it, and I went, you know what? This is exhausting. And I wonder if that's how a lot of you feel. Now, you're not supposed to act on emotion, right? You're supposed to calm down and get some sleep, and, okay, we'll figure it out in the morning. And I don't know how many times the Warriors have done that through the years with Draymond Green. I'm still working through what even makes sense, what the options are on the table. But today, for Warrior fans out there, what is the exhaustion level? What should the Warriors do? And we'll get to later what can they do. I don't really have an answer yet other than to say I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with this topic with Draymond Green. And my sense is that a lot of Warrior fans feel the same way.
Yes, and I think that what you're saying is absolutely true, but I don't want you to think that we can separate what you're saying from the actual issue, because you said, I'm so exhausted with this topic and Draymond Green. This topic is Draymond Green.
Yep.
So for me, if you're exhausted by this topic and Draymond Green, and many of us are, well, then you're exhausted by Draymond Green. Because this is Draymond Green. And I mentioned it during the crossover. His last 26 games, stomp, choke, punch. And that goes back to last year against Sacramento. He stomped on Sabonis. He got a game. He came back. They beat Sacramento. He came off the bench. They played the Lakers. He lost. This year, he came out and he choked. He choked Rudy Gobert, and he got 5 games. And now he has, I don't even know if you want to call it a punch. It was more than a slap. Comcast, NBC Sports Bay Area called it a swipe. And I think a swipe is underplaying it. Whatever you want to call it, I think he clocked him. And whatever that was, he got ejected. It was a flagrant 2. And now he's facing however many games. So 26 games, barely a quarter of a regular season, stomp, choke, punch. And so this is Draymond Green. So if Draymond sits for 5 or 8 or 10 or 20, whatever it is, when Draymond Green comes back, it's going to be the same thing, Mark. It's this Draymond Green is the Draymond you're going to get for the next 3.5 years.
Right, which is why
Stomp, choke, punch.
I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter what the act is anymore. It matters who the person is. It matters who the actor is, not
and the actor will continue to commit the act.
Well, then he's going to continue to get suspended.
Right.
And he is going to continue to miss the majority of the season. Right now, he is already at almost exactly half of the season in which he has either been suspended, ejected, or just missed for personal reasons. Already half the season. What are we at? 23 games? It's 11 of the 23 games. Okay? So, and I know we're making an assumption, but my guess is, based on everything that we're hearing and reading, that by this afternoon, we're about to find out that Draymond is going to go through an extended period of time that's going to make it a lot more than half the season.
Right.
Right? So it doesn't matter anymore what the act is. It matters who the actor is. And maybe for the first time, this is what's different for me, I guess. What's different for me, in my opinion, about Draymond is for the first time in my life, I think that that's totally fair. I think it's completely fair if the NBA goes, I don't care if this had a little measure of accidental in it, because the majority of it wasn't. You know what I mean? I get into the, like you used the word earlier, intent. And like I do this with the kids all the time. You know what I mean? You kick a ball in the living room and it knocks all the ornaments off the Christmas tree. And what do? You look at the kid and go, what the hell are you doing? Well, Dad, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
I don't care that you didn't mean to, because your mistake is not that the ornaments are all broken and on the ground. Your mistake is that you took liberties in a situation that did not make sense.
Liberty bibberty.
And that's Draymond Green last night. You took liberties in a spot where you're not able to do that. Was it accidental? Was there a measure of I'm just flailing? I have no idea. But my dog, you are Draymond Green and you may not flail your arms. Mike Singletary can do it. And the league has been trying to tell you that in a bunch of ways. Soft ways, not as soft ways, hard ways.
Sure.
And none of them have worked. And so I am usually the first one to be like, you guys call too many texts and you're throwing out people who are the reason we buy tickets, and all of this stuff is ridiculous more often than not. But the bottom line is we've reached a spot where, to me, it is completely fair. Whatever happens to Draymond, he did this.
Yeah.
He earned it.
He did, and he earned it. And the act in and of itself, and Steiny's right, if it was Podziemski or Podziemski, however you want to pronounce it, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the program, but another new one. If it was Steph Curry, let's say Steph Curry was in the exact same situation and he lost his balance and he got tugged and he turned around and he did what Draymond did, he probably gets a game. He might get two, because it felt to me like a pretty dramatic act of a forehand, a right cross. But the fact that it's Draymond Green and he's 4 weeks removed from a 5-game suspension for coming to the aid of a teammate. And yeah, he came to the aid of a teammate and he grabbed Gobert about the neck and he dragged him across the court. I get that. You get 5 games for that sort of a choke situation, but you get 5 games for a choke, and now 4 weeks later, you haul off and smack a guy. And, you could talk to me about he flailed. Yeah, sure, you flailed and hit a guy so hard that he went down, and maybe Nurkic embellished it. I've never been punched by a all-star power forward.
By the way, I'd have no problem if he did embellish it. Draymond admitted that he was embellishing, and that's why it happened.
Yeah.
He said, I was trying to sell the foul.
Exactly.
That's the definition of embellishment.
And that's how you sell a foul, by pivoting 180 degrees and swinging your right arm at the offending player.
He flailed. He tried to make it look like
right. Normally when you flail, your arms go up.
Yeah, and they did.
That's a flail.
They flew out.
They flew out. Around and back. And I'm not going to try to adjudicate the incident.
It doesn't matter. He got a
flagrant 2. Intent doesn't matter either. It's Draymond, and he's got a history, and the league already said Your history is being looked at in terms of additional punishment, and that's why he got 5 games for the choke.
Yeah. So here we go. And I think, look, we're going to find out, I believe, before our show is up. We're going to be with you every step of the way. We'll react to that suspension when it comes down. I have absolutely no doubt that there will be a suspension. But the bigger question for each of you fans, because I always stress this, you do have a voice. You have a voice in this. You know, I think sometimes we go, oh, gosh, the team's going to do what they want. Why would they listen to fans? Yeah, they're not going to listen to one person sitting down and going, you should cut Draymond. But the bottom line is fans do have a voice. We've watched it many times. The collective group of fans. Watch what's happening with the San Francisco Giants. Are they going to $113 million on a 25-year-old from Korea who's never played Major League Baseball before if they weren't listening to the fans? Of course they're listening to the fans. They're terrified that you're all going to go away. And the Warriors are at a complete and total crossroads. See you at the crossroads.
Thank you.
We're here.
Is that Bone Thugs? Look at you.
Come on, man.
You surprise me.
But by now, it shouldn't surprise you anymore.
Mark, you surprise me because you keep pulling out little dollops of hip-hop.
I got you. You
surprise me.
But it shouldn't anymore.
Give me 20 more. It's like Draymond Green. You get to a point where you're not surprised anymore by the Draymond flagrant, and that's where I am with Draymond. You need about 4 or 5 more real good Pauls. Bum, bum, bum. I see you at the crossroads. Look at Willard.
There's no problem.
I see you at the crossroads.
I accept the physical challenge.
Give me 5 more and I won't be surprised anymore. Like Draymond, I'm no longer surprised.
Yeah, more on the way.
And neither is Joe Dumars in the league office.
Yeah, so here we are. So I think it's absolutely a day for us to explore what do the Warriors do about this. Charles Barkley suggested that they get out ahead of the NBA. I don't think they will. I don't think there's any way in hell they'll do that. But he suggested they get out in front of the NBA and send them home. Enact their own suspension, if you will. And he made one very solid point, and this was from the Dan Patrick Show earlier today where Charles visited. Like, he made a very, very good point. Dan's like, look, but the Warriors have had his back at every turn. Necessary evil. He goes, right, when you're winning.
Right.
Now you're not winning. And that's what I meant earlier by, no, not everybody gets the same rules. Of course not everybody gets the same rules. If you're a winning player, they're going to allow all kinds of stuff. If you're a losing player, they're not going to allow anything.
Right.
And we've watched this in sports over and over and over again. So if the same act does not bring winning with it, I don't know why you would tolerate it anymore.
Well, you'll tolerate it because he has 3.5 years left on his deal. And if he gets 20 games, whatever he gets, I know this, there are 27 more games until the trade deadline. I'm not saying that they will trade Draymond, but as you mentioned, you'll tolerate it if he is a winning player on a winning team. If he's out for a long stretch and you continue to play basketball like this, maybe you get to the trade deadline and you look at things a little bit differently.